This is the first part of the overall rehabilitation system that we are calling robotic rears. So this is called the dynamic body weight support system, which actually primarily has the function of handling patient safety. So one of the big things that we have seen in exoskeletons is that with the crutches they are still safe 90%, 95% or whatever the data is 99%, but it's never 100%. So the big thing that the 4-point support with the harness on the patient does is that it enables 100% fall safe system. So that is the primary role of this subsystem along with the exo, lower extremity exo. The other large role that this system plays is what we are calling dynamic body weight support, which we have data from the medical research and all that. Early intervention does does matter a lot for the patient to not be chronic as long. So this particular system allows the higher injury level patients on the spinal cord to be brought into the therapy very early, and because of the 100% fall safety, and the second part being that we can offload some of the weight of the patient in the beginning of the therapy, so that he is not having to bear the full weight on his legs when the person is weak. So the second big thing that we are trying to offer from this solution is the early intervention support. So, and that is achieved by tension control mechanism, which is continuously offloading some of the weight of the patient. So that's a setting that we do in the software for.
So the force from the body weight is going through the table and frame onto the floor rather than through their own legs.
Rather than through their own legs, yes. So that relieves the load from the legs. So it is. I mean, some people are even. Some people even say that something similar to maybe I don't know. It's technically not right, but hydrotherapy, where the buoyancy offloads some of the weight on the legs, and that's apparently useful for the therapy. Sure. The other big feature that this enables is for the exo is offloading all the power electronics and batteries and all for the exo onto this inside this system.
So some of the equipment we see in it, it's all in the prototype, will be hidden inside of the frame.
It will all be hidden and packaged inside of the frame.
And the battery energy source as well.
Yes, the power pack and the drives and all of that is inside this frame. The third thing, the fourth thing rather, major thing that this does is it has a self-propelled 2 drives on the rear wheels, and the front wheels are steerable. So what we call basically a patient following system. So the way the patient moves, the system, we call it intent detection. So the moment the patient starts to move forward, the system follows the patient. The moment the patient stops, the system stops. So you might want to just try that, just walk. So now the moment the patient stops, the system stops. So, and also it will steer along with the patient and stuff. So that's something that replaces a large part in. There are some advanced systems in therapy where they use overhead rails for giving continuous support to the patient while he's walking, but this enables a very simple solution rather than installing something in the hospital, throughout the hospital, to support the patient. So it's a patient following support system. It unloads the weight.
And so as you progress through your rehabilitation therapy, if you advance, this will be able to follow you at a faster speed, give you more freedom to explore the workspace, still under the supervision of a therapist.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like you said, as the patient advances, in the beginning, if he's moving slowly, the system will move slowly, and if the patient starts to move faster, it will move faster. And there are a bunch of other features which we say that it's very easy to roll into any hospital room. It's a standard door width, and this boom arm can actually be unlock it, bring it down so that it enters the door heights. So essentially you can leverage, or the hospitals particularly can leverage it far more easily to roll it into any particular room where the therapy is required, kind of.
Nice wide base of support, so there's never any risk of tipping.
Yeah, so the stability analysis has been done where we have considered the worst case situation of the patient going forward, or even in fact even with the therapist sitting on the seat,
Sitting on the seat, and the patient falling.
and the patient, so that's the worst case situation. In spite of that, it doesn't kind of lose stability. So that's definitely, the safety is the primary
Right.
function, and that's 100% kind of ensured. So having these features enables us to give advanced kind of advanced therapy as well. What we like to, functionality is the same, but the therapy that we can now administer to this system, through this system, is also, like, for example, sports therapy, where you may want to, the patients may want to do advanced exercises right from sit to stand for their hamstring injuries or whatever, orthopedic systems and all. So we can kind of do some of those exercises in the system as well. So the first thing we can quickly, we just saw the intent detection. We can do the little bit of the tension control, where you just go up and down, and then, so now let's say, what is it set to?
Set at 10 kg.
So let's say I would say 15-20% of his weight is now
Going
taken up.
through the-
Yeah,
through the
yeah,
rope.
yeah. So now even if he moves up and down or walks, the tension will be maintained by, it's kind of a series elastic actuator kind of implementation, where we have impedance control
So if you
inside.
bend down a little
Yeah,
bit,
you
can
wanna-
go bend down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then stand up.
Yeah, so it will constantly have 15 kg force upward. So that setting can always be tweaked depending on how much you want to unload the patient. So another thing we have a little bit improved on since we last discussed the system is one is the refinement of the tension control, which has been done considering the friction compensation and all of that. But the other thing is we have done, now if you have to do a large stroke, for example, for the advanced therapies, you need to really travel the system right from here from a low height to a very high height, and you need that much stroke in the system. But we have smartly kind of have a recentering mechanism, so when it hits the end of the stroke, it again recenters and starts from the bottom. So that allows us to give those little more interesting therapy things as well. So it needs a sports person to have hefty shoulders to pull it down, but so this is the kind of stroke that we can get, but the stroke inside is only half of the stroke. So in spite of that, it is able to do the tension control because we have set those limits. And you can do push-ups and then you can come back up. So currently it's not having a tension control unloading, that's why it kind of went slack. If we had a tension control, if we put the tension control, then Kush needs to have stronger shoulders, so we removed the tension control.
It sort of covers a lot more scenarios. It's open enough in terms of saying, it's meant for 3-4 different scenarios. We can open it up and think of a bunch of additional scenarios that we can actually.
So now it's a marketing thing, how you can sell it.
Therapy as well as sports rehab.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we have seen, similar systems which with those more involved installations actually do what this thing can already do. I mean, as far as the functionality is concerned, that's all they have. They have good dynamic control and they have a long stroke, which is refined. So how to enable those sports therapy paradigms is something that we need to now learn with the doctors, I guess. I don't know if you have any other comments on those over.
Outside of my area, but I understand what you're getting at.
Yeah, and of course the basic thing we can always make sure follow rest में है ना, so कर सकते हो. So anytime there is a mishap, like I said, if there is a fast fall detected, it will always cushion with a comfortable thing. So So now, so that is the stroke that we currently have when we discussed. Depends now how much we can tune the stroke. If we make it a shorter stroke, it gives a slightly bigger jerk. And if you want to cushion him more softly, we'll need a longer stroke. So it's a balance between the two, but it's never going to cause serious injuries.
Does it bring it back or not?
Yeah.
I've seen a video where you winch him back up, right? And he's at the vertical.
Yeah. So we have tried those in our trials, and we did all these, fancy things, and it seems to work. So
how are you planning to connect the exoskeleton to the safety device, or the person is wearing the exoskeleton,
yeah.
and so they're not physically coupled only through the cables?
Yeah. So currently, the exo mechanically is not not coupled with the exo. With the dynamic body. It's only the electrical harnesses which will go from here to there. So the exo will be with the system only along with the patient. Otherwise, we will of course have some mounting structures for kind of transporting it.
Gives good flexibility.
The other thing is these handlebars we've only given as a psychological comfort. They are not really required, but later on we are considering having some load sensors here, or maybe heart rate monitors like those treadmill monitors inside here. So they can also be used to have steering intent detection.
Right.
Is something that we are
Like a walker that you walk with.
yeah, so they are used for additional intent. Currently we are seeking the intent through our string pots
And I
and
guess
stuff.
when you turn, the machine will detect the turn you turn. Is there enough space?
Yeah, no, it's already there. If I just
They are possibly movable.
yeah, movable, height adjustable, and movable out of the way as well. So that's already in there. In fact, yeah, like I said, it's more for comfort right now. It's not required also. No, this is actually, we have seen in some places that the physiotherapist actually still has some manual administration to do on the patient's feet and stuff. So we've given these seats for the physiotherapist to easily do that, or even tie the straps, untie the straps, and all of that. So those seats are. Now, if you see, the load transfer happens through here as well as here. So when we have the joint system, there will be, these are the kind of vertical straps we'll have with buckles, which will connect the lower harness with the upper harness. No, we'll connect the lower harness with the upper harness. No, this will not be there when you wear the exo. Yeah, it will only be till here, and then this will couple with that harness. In the first part of the winching only, when you are donning the exo, that time only the upper harness will pull, but after that we'll use clap. Yes. Yeah, just one thing I'll want to just mention, while I do all the talking, the team which has, so currently the sensing only on the BWS itself is going to be how much unloading has been done, how much the patient has traveled, in a particular session, distance traveled, at what speed the patient traveled, the movement of the patient's body, how much it moved in a particular direction, vertically up and down, what is the motion, lateral motion, that sensing can be done. Lost or not, but lost or not is a separate doctor's definition, but the data of logging that motion will be there. But the leg, particularly stepping of the leg, is not there obviously, because there is no sensing on the legs. Like I said, that can be an add-on module which we can install. Yeah, so I was just saying, like I said, I always get to do all the talking, but the guys who actually do all the work, I just want to make sure that to introduce or make sure that these guys, So Kaustubh is the lead engineer for this project, so he's been kind of the driving force, who is kind of leading all the engineering. Utsav is the controls engineer who is doing the controls thing. Nishikant has been doing all the drive design and all of that. Kush is the mechanical design engineer. There are 3 other people right now, not here, but in the office. So there's Shashank, there's Chetan, there's Rohit, and there's Sumit. So they are also part of the entire team. So they are the guys who have actually developed and got things together. I am doing only the talking part. So I think credit goes to them, and we really appreciate that.